This podcast deals with disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion and headphones are advised.
It's time to open the door to your mind. Sit back and listen to true horror. But be careful of what you allow in. Because it's time to go through the fog.
I'm DarkHero, and this is my story, See Evil, Hear Evil.
There is more to the world than what you can normally perceive. My sister always said that we were born with special gifts. I wish I could have shared that sentiment, but I thought we were cursed. My name is Eli, and my twin sister Ellen and I are able to interact with spirits. Ellen has the ability to see ghosts, whereas I have the ability to hear them. We kept these so-called gifts to ourselves because, quite honestly, it's so unbelievable. I couldn't see them, but spirits would come to me as soft whispers. I can barely hear what they're saying, so it all melts into the background noise. Ellen says that she can see them on streets as silhouettes, but they always seem harmless. I remember asking her what they looked like, but she would shrug it off and tell me that they looked like normal people. When we first told our parents about it, they thought we were crazy, so we just kept it between us. Ellen wanted to do so much more with her gift, so she became obsessed with the afterlife. I just wanted to forget my ability existed, and I was mostly successful. Ellen would always try to drag me to different haunted locations. Whenever we went to some of these places, we'd leave somewhat disappointed. I'd hear a whisper here and there, while Ellen would see faint outlines of people. Honestly, I was glad to get that at most. The less I hear, the more normal my life would be. But Ellen was determined to use her ability. One Halloween, my sister got the bright idea to go to a supposed haunted house. I always responded to her with an eye roll, but after days of begging, I finally caved in. Ellen and I were in our senior year of high school. We're supposed to be planning for our future, yet here we were, in my car, driving to a haunted house. Ellen seemed excited, as usual, but I dreaded wasting so much time on something so stupid. When we got to the address, I was surprised at what I saw. In the middle of nowhere was a small house. It was a rundown thing that was barely big enough for one person. The white wooden panels of the broken down home had giant chunks missing. So, despite having its few windows boarded up, you can still see inside. The roof of the home was half gone, and the front door was hanging on its hinges. I was reluctant to set foot in this place, but during my apprehension, Ellen rushed inside with her bag over her shoulder. I followed suit, cursing my sister with each step. Inside the house was so much more damage than you would think. It felt as though me just standing on the wooden floor would cause the whole place to come crashing down on me. I looked towards Ellen to see her setting up a few candles with a piece of paper in her hand. I asked her what she was doing, and she told me that she was setting up a ritual. Our whole lives, we never dabbled in the occult. I never had the intention to seek out spirits, but I underestimated how much Ellen wanted to use her ability. She explained to me that this house was simply abandoned, but eventually found purpose, housing drug addicts and the homeless. Ellen continued to tell me that most of the people who find their way here end up killing themselves. After she said that, I started to hear whispers. 1, 2, no, there were too many to count, and my ears were filled with sorrowful cries and angry curses. In all my years, I'd never heard anything like that. A cacophony of discordant noises all ringing in my ears, so many emotions hitting me at once. And Ellen began to recite something off a piece of paper in her hands in a language unknown to me. Her words were mixing with the many voices that began to grow louder and louder until nothing. A sudden silence fell over me. And I looked over to my sister to see her wide-eyed, staring towards the darkness. We both stood there, motionless for a while. And then I heard something. A cackling erupted from the darkness. It sounded almost human, but it was deep, guttural. I could hear loud and heavy footsteps making its way over to Ellen. Ellen yelped and took a few steps backwards. I screamed out to her, asking her what she saw. She held a hand over her mouth and began to cry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouted again. What the hell are you seeing? Then her body flew towards the wall. A deafening crack filled my ears. Ellen screamed in pain, and as I ran towards her, my body froze when I heard a low, bestial growl. It's tall. Its skin is pitch black, and it has bright yellow eyes, she whispered under her breath. It has claws, and it has hooves for feet. I could hear the footsteps rush towards her, and then her body began to float in midair. I could hear it breathing, its heavy breath that quivered with excitement. It's smiling. A massive smile that's too large for its face. I looked in awe as the house was filled with the sound of cracking. Inch by inch, every part of Ellen's body was being broken and contorted before my eyes. My sister helplessly looked at the entity in front of her as I screamed. She suddenly dropped, her body now a clump of broken bones. Everything was silent. No sign of whatever had done this to her was present. I rushed to her side, and she lifted her head, and I saw that her eyes were completely gone. And with her final breath, she told me, I saw evil.
Through the Fog is recorded and edited by Intro and outro by Katie Kemp. For more stories, go to www.throughthefog.org. We'll be back in 2 weeks, so keep your eyes on the fog.